Hello, this is Brian J, and I'm here to talk about Cris Cyborg, what she's saying about her fight against Amanda Nunes. These, and I agree with the LDBC on this one. Well, I at least agree with Coach Harrison on this one. All these fake Amanda Nunes fans on Twitter and on Facebook, talking shit about Cris Cyborg. Listen, you gotta listen to the facts. Cris Cyborg is speaking truth. She's speaking facts. That's what she's doing. She wants to fight Amanda Nunes. She will. She'll fight Amanda Nunes or Megan Anderson. But she wants to have a real featherweight division. Because what Dana White and Sean Shelby or whoever else is doing in the UFC with Cris Cyborg in the featherweight division for her, it's bullshit. They obviously didn't make the division for her. They made the division for Megan Anderson or Holly Holm or whoever. They did not make it for Cris Cyborg. And, these people, these guys at the UFC, they're not adding women to this division like they should. Cindy Danois wants to come into the division and fight Cris Cyborg. And you have a lot of other female fighters that fight at featherweight that want to come to the division, come to the UFC and fight Cris Cyborg. So I just don't understand this. When Dana White declared Ronda Rousey the female bantamweight UFC champion back in December of 2012, she was the first female champion in the history of the UFC back in December 2012. He declared her as the world champion for the UFC at women's bantamweight 135 pounds. And then he added in all these other women to come fight in the division, like Misha Tate, like Kat Zingano, like Liz Carmouche, like Julie Kinsey. He started adding in all these other women slowly for like a good 4 or 5 months. And then he had an Ultimate Fighter season for 8 women that fight at 135 and 8 men that fight at, I think, 185 middleweight or 170. I think it was 185. But the women that fought on that season was, number one, Roxanne Modafferi, Raquel Pennington, Juliana Pena. And I think of, and Shayna Baszler. I can't think of the other ones, but there was like 8 women that fought in that division. And then by the end of 2013, there was like 15 women that were in the rankings at 135. And then the next year, Dana White, Sean Shelby started the strawweight division, where Carla Esparza became the strawweight champion, and then Joanna destroyed her in 2 rounds, became champion. And then, on and on and on. Now we got a third female division. See, that's how you do it. So if Dana White wanted Cris Cyborg to be the champion for featherweight, he could have just declared her as the featherweight UFC champion back in 2016. He could have just handed her the belt and then have her defend it against Leslie Smith, and then add in more women for the division. She could have fought Cindy Danois. She could have fought, or whoever else. They could have signed women from Invicta to fight in the UFC. They could have done that, but they didn't want to. Instead, they wanted Cyborg to try to make 135 or fight at catchweights of 140 for super fights, which was just stupid. But anyways, this is my thoughts. I agree with Cris Cyborg. I support her 100% on this. There needs to be a women's featherweight division. So I support Cris Cyborg, and I roll with the LDBC on this one. And Coach Harrison. So this is me, this is Brian J, giving my 2 cents on this, signing off for now.